Welcome to a new Daily Top Askreddit video. Today's topic.
People born before 2000, what trivial skill you possess that others don't use anymore? I can text like crazy fast on AT9 keypad lol. No lie, this paid off recently. I moved and my printer has AT9 type keypad which you have to use to input the Wi-Fi password, which is long as heck. My niece and nephew, born late 2000s, could not make it work. I was like, step aside and let me show you the sacred texts. The flex was being able to text your friends under the desk at school without looking at the screen. Then peeking to see a response. Remember when we had to have a typing speed of at least 60 WPM to be considered for an office job, lol. I had to pass a typing test for a call center job in 2020, lol. 60 WPM, 98% accuracy or higher. I credit AIM for my typing skills. I'm a millennial and type at 120 plus WPM consistently. I managed a call center in the past. Nowadays it seems like the typical speed needed is only 30 WPM, which is so incredibly painfully slow that I'm always shocked when people barely hit it. I had a guy show up for an interview once. I left him in the interview room with the computer set up for his typing test and computer literacy test, had to make sure people knew what a browser was, how to use the internet, save documents, etc. Candidates could take as many cracks at the test as they wanted. After a full hour I was like, okay man, it's time to go. I pop in the room and he's like, oh great. I'm almost done warming up, I'll be ready to take the test in a minute. I tell him, hey man, it's been an hour, whatever you have is what you have. I check the computer and for the past hour all this guy has done is the typing test. His fastest speed was 23 WPM. He didn't even get around to the computer literacy portion. My penmanship is trash, but my ability to read cursive handwriting appears to be a superpower to my younger coworkers. I recently did a lot of genealogy research for my family and I love deciphering these beautiful, if somewhat unintelligible, documents from 100 plus years ago. I have horrendous penmanship and it makes me very jealous, but it's like playing detective, which is awesome. Part of my work duties involved scanning, digitizing, and archiving homicide files from 1919 to 1994, and the handwriting is exquisite. It's artwork. And I'm over here, scratching out scrawl like I've never met a pen before. Hey, did you know you can volunteer to help transcribe historic documents? I know the National Archives and the Smithsonian have programs, and probably other museums do as well. You can do as much or as little as you want, and the National Archive lets you choose the types of documents that interest you. Not sure about the Smithsonian. I've been thinking about signing up myself. I know the secret to recording over VHS tapes that weren't meant for it. The real forgotten skill was to pause recording a TV show when it went to break and then start it back up when coming back from commercial without clipping part of the show itself. I was obsessed with getting this perfect. Somewhere in my childhood garage are boxes and boxes of my bootleg Simpsons tapes. Memorize phone numbers. My mom used to take the phone off the hook in her bedroom and deadbolt the door so we couldn't use the phone. I actually had phone numbers of the payphones I could get to on my bike memorized. That was a very old-fashioned sentence I just said. I would give those out as my phone number, and when someone said they were going to call me, I would just ride my bike up to that phone and wait for the call. I don't know if anyone ever found out that it wasn't my home number. My favorite one was McDonald's. The phone was in a vestibule at the back entrance that was rarely used, so I had a lot of privacy. It was also indoors, so even though there were a couple payphones closer to my house, I could get out of the rain or cold using the McDonald's one. There's still a handful of payphones that still work. Anytime I find one, I try to call the number on it from my cell phone. Every now and then I find one where the payphone itself rings when called. When that happens, I save the number in my phone and call it when I'm bored, knowing full well that if anybody picks up, it'll be some random person who is hearing a payphone ring likely for the first time in their life and is curious to answer it. There's various things that could be done here, but my favorite is to fuck with them, like saying, the package is in the location we discussed, do not be late. Quote. The ability to be alone with my thoughts for a few moments without losing my damn mind. I mastered this when I was about 28. I was driving long haul at the time and walked out to my truck after going inside a truck stop to eat and shower to find it was broken into. Radio, TV, and CB all gone. I would have spent a day getting new ones installed, except it was a time-sensitive load. Spent the next 6 days with nothing except books after I stopped for the night. After that I found I would just leave the stuff turned off half the day driving and not even notice. Been married 22 years and my wife still comments that it's weird that I can just sit in a room alone with nothing going on and be fine, or on long drives just look out the window happily. And all the kids think it's creepy, lol. It's crazy to me. If I have a wait in a restaurant or something I will just wait. And it really stresses other people out. The reactions are so hilarious. I can unwind spiral telephone cords when they get a kink. Slinkies too. I know how to replace the ink ribbon on a typewriter. Reading a map. My mom was into antiques, so garage sales were an every weekend thing. She'd get the classified out and circle all the ones she wanted to hit, then put them in order by which she wanted to hit first. I was the map reader in the car as she drove. Oh my god, you have the exact same childhood experience as I do. Keeping a Tamagotchi alive for more than 3 days. See, now we know you're lying. Excuse me, I was elite in pixel pet care. I used to be a projectionist at a movie theater. Most theaters are all digital now. Op said trivial, you sir, are a god among ants. I can both write a check and I can address an envelope to mail it to you. Please do. Also, letter formatting. When I was in school, personal letters and business letters were still a thing, and there was a correct format for what information went where, spacing, indents, etc. Installing software via 10 plus floppy disks. Anyone else install Windows 95 from a stack of floppies? Using pkzip to archive across multiple floppies, and then the feeling when you get to your friend's house and disk 12 of 15 is unreadable. I can beat Mike Tyson in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! Like, a quarter of the time. I can beat The Lion King for Sega Genesis. This is honestly incredibly impressive. Pix or GTFO. I can honestly say things like, I managed a video store. I learned basic coding from making my MySpace page cool. And the ever popular, I learned how to play the trumpet, French horn, and trombone in order to play in a ska band. I worked in a video store too, and I learned HTML from customizing my LiveJournal. Now I'm a website manager, never took coding lessons, classes. The Dewey Decimal System, motherfuckers. They still have libraries, you know. They do, but you don't need to know the Dewey Decimal System to use one. It was pretty necessary back when they tracked everything with a card catalog instead of a searchable computer system. I know you're being facetious, but the Dewey Decimal System is largely outdated and most have migrated to the Library of Congress system. Edit, everyone seems to be making a lot of assumptions with my comment. I didn't not say your library nor every single library is switching over. Let's all relax. The double space after a period, muscle memory. I remember in 6th grade my teacher told me she wanted a paper typed and double spaced. I didn't know what that meant, and my dad told me to put 2 spaces behind each period. This was not what the teacher meant. I still do double spaces because of all the times I got in trouble in elementary school for not double spacing. Every teacher in my school back then had the policy that there always has to be 2 spaces after every period. The reason for this was that a single space apparently wasn't clearly visible enough on an Apple II screen. For those confused, double-spaced normally means leaving an entire line of empty space vertically between each line on the page. It's commonly used in education as it makes it easier to add handwritten notes and corrections. It was probably a little over 5 years ago that I realized that wasn't the standard way of typing anymore. Once I was conscious of it, it was surprisingly easy to change my habit to a single space. If you're typing on a phone nowadays, double-tapping the spacebar will automatically put a period at the end of your sentence, with 1 space after the period to begin typing. Super convenient. How to use a map and fold it back up the right way. The folding is where they get you. Last time I had to use a map, I had taken a wrong turn at the freeway interchange. I stopped at a gas station, figured out where I was and plotted a course towards home. Was it the fastest way home? Absolutely not. Did I get home? Yup. Was my friend super confused when she woke up and we were in the Bay Area instead of Stockton? Also yes. Rewind a cassette tape. With a big pen. Or a pencil. Edit, I was curious so I tried to look up the last album released on cassette. There is no last album released on cassette. Because small quantities of music are being sold on cassette today. The last major releases on cassette came sometime in the early 2000s. Which is long enough ago to count us as dinosaurs. I also looked up the last album released on 8-track. There seems to be some debate, but the ones I found mentioned most often are Rattle and Hum by U2, and Fleetwood Mac's Greatest Hits, both released in late 1988. Which means if you had an 8-track player you were even older than us dinosaurs. I know lots of people will comment that they can write in cursive. This is painful, but I can also write in shorthand. Well, to be more honest, I used to be able to write perfectly in shorthand, but it still shows up in my regular writing sometimes. Was coming on here to say shorthand. It was awesome. I used to dial my friend's phone number by tapping the hang-up buttons, which simulated a rotary dial phone. That's a fun game. Unfortunately, my friend's number began with 9 to 2. We learned the hard way it's very easy to actually dial 911. Nice. Pulse dialing, and most people had no idea that's how rotary dials actually worked. I learned about this while watching Hackers Hack the Planet. I used to operate a key punch card machine back in caveman days of the early 1970s. My high school computer teacher thought it was important for us to read punch cards. I can still calculate the ASCII code, and I remember that A is 65. Yeah, not really useful anymore. Also, A is 97. As a software engineer, this knowledge is occasionally useful. I can drive a manual. Still a thing these days, but they're very rare and most people can't. Almost every car in the UK is a manual, but that'll die out with the increase of electric cars. Same in Ireland. I recently heard that the amount of applications for automatic-only driver's tests went up 50% over the last year or something. It's dying out, but it'll take a while. Hopefully my gear stick becomes an anti-theft device soon. Same, I can start and drive a manual car from the middle of a steep incline without rollback. And pop a clutch if the battery is dead.